guys, welcome back to another video. This week I told you guys was it last week or earlier this week that I would be doing for a second video this week a more in detail look at how my process is of working digitally on Procreate. And yeah, so I'm gonna go step by step and tell you guys like exactly what I'm doing and how I do everything, and from start to end of finishing a drawing or finishing a more of like a character drawing. But yeah, that's what to look for in this video. So I found this picture on Pinterest and this reference photo, and I decided to use her. I've been trying to practice facial expressions for a while, so I loved her facial expressions, so I decided I want to do this. I love the style of the whole pose and everything. So usually when I start off drawing, I try to capture the pose first because I struggle with posing for mostly, and I know a lot of artists do it first, the posing, especially if it's a more difficult pose. I usually first start with the head. I do a lot perpendicular lines to map out like where the middle of the face would be. Sometimes it's just to help me draw a circle and know where to draw the face from there. So I draw a circle around it, and then I make the jawline and chin based on which way the face is facing. Yeah. And then a short line for the neck, and then I do a curve. Been trying to exaggerate my body postures and curvings and stuff like that, because that's a big thing in animation. And so yeah, that's what I've been trying to do. So I did that here. I tried to make the curve for her back a little bit more angular, and then I went into drawing the legs. I did a horizontal line curving down, and then I drew lines down from there where her hip would be, and then her legs down from there. And then I go up, I draw another horizontal line at the top right underneath the neck, and I start extending arms from there. And yeah, that's basically it. I try to draw the hands here because if I don't draw it here, it makes me lazy on how I do it later on in the video or in the drawing. I don't want to go back and do it. I always make sure to, especially when the forearm overlaps the the bicep area, that bicep part of your arm, tricep area, make sure you have that little curve that shows they're like being met with each other especially when the arm is bent and the forearm and the bicep area meets. So I try to make sure it is overlapping, and yeah, especially on the right side, realize that the arm is overlapping, so the forearm will be on top of the back arm of the.
You should have seen the way that you bloom. I think I saw your face in the moon. I promise I'll be with you as soon as I find a way up. Yeah. 'Cause you're farther than a kiss on the phone. There's things about you I'll never know. I hope that one day we'll be in love when you're not far away.
Now I go into working in the hands, and the left hand is easy, like I said, because I did it already under in the sketch layer, the sketchy layer. And then it takes me a little bit more time to do the one on the right, but I have a pretty good grasp on how the hand posing should look in my head, so that doesn't take too long to do. Drawing hands was a hard thing for me. I don't know, and all of a sudden I recently started picking up on them a little bit more, so they haven't been too hard for me to draw compared to back when I was in college. I just tried to avoid drawing them, or I had to look at a reference photo very heavily or take my own reference photos with my hand, which I think also probably has helped me learn how to draw hands and what they should look like in certain posing and stuff like that. I used to use in the brush library, I used to use a sketching pencil 6B, but now I use the dry ink pencil in the inking category in Procreate in the brush library. But yeah, this is my favorite part of drawing. Other than, like, I don't know, I mean, I do like the whole drawing process, but I love drawing faces, even though they used to give me the hardest time. They still do sometimes, especially with perspective and eyes and stuff, but and trying to make eyes even. But yeah, and sometimes noses give me problems, but yeah, I do the eyes based on where I did that perpendicular line underneath. And then I usually do face layer, the whole face layer on a whole different layer, separate from when I did the final sketch of the form. And yeah, that usually helps me keep everything a little bit separate, especially if the eyes are like off to the side and they like overlap, and the eyelashes overlap the outline, like how the left eye does of the face. It helps the head. It helps me when I have to move the eye, not to move the outline of the head also. So that's why I also like keeping it on a separate layer. Yeah, the facial expression wasn't too hard to draw. I did it pretty easy in one go. Usually I have to sometimes rework a face or change the eyes, but yeah, it just came a little more easier. I make sure the nose is always in the center of the face, just below the perpendicular line. Sometimes I have to move it because it looks a little too far down, or the mouth is a little too far down, because I like to draw big lips, so sometimes the lips look a little weird. Sometimes the mouth looks weird because it's too far, because I make extra room for the lips to be bigger. But yeah, I moved up that nose and mouth area to be a little bit more proportional for the face. And yeah. This is what I was talking about, where the ears is, I draw them right on above the jawline, and the back of the head. Drawing the back of the head helps me know where to put the ears at. So yeah, and then ears are pretty easy. I always do a little. It's hard for me to explain it. I do a little top line, curve that goes all the way to the bottom, and then where that little C that comes up where right above where you usually get your ears pierced, I draw that there, and then I draw the C that usually covers the little part of your ear, the hole for your ear. I draw that next, and then I draw a smaller line inside the ear that comes like halfway. But yeah, that's usually how I do ears. Oh yeah, and here's where I did the hands. The hands didn't take me too long, although they did look a little weird to me, so I did have to rework them a couple more times. But in this segment, I didn't have to go back to them usually. I think I did make them a little bigger because they were a little small compared to the rest of her. Because your hand's supposed to be at the size of your face, I think. So yeah, I had to make them bigger, and then make them more proportional to how the one on the left looked. So even though they still kind of look small, but they're supposed to be behind the other ones in the front and the ones on the left. So I guess that helps with showing that it's in perspective, I guess. But yeah, the hands turned out okay, not great, but okay. They're at least decent nowadays. So they're not too amazing, and they're not too bad. Next is hair. I do this on a separate layer too. I love doing hair. I guess I love the whole drawing process. I was about to say I love drawing hair, but I also say I love drawing the face. But yeah, I just decided to do a side part, wavy hairstyle, long wavy hairstyle. Yeah, usually I have to look at references for from like Pinterest to see what hairstyle I want to do. But yeah, this is it's a hairstyle. I wanted it to I was trying to do hair a little bit differently. Usually I do always a little hump that comes out of the part in the back of the head when I draw the hair, but I try not to do that. I try to make it look like it was flat and very iron pressed, and so that's what I tried to do for this one. And then her hair was supposed to be like really silky, and then it was supposed to be like really straight at the top. It wasn't supposed to be any like volume to it, if that makes sense. But yeah, I wanted to draw hair look like it's like falling, look like it's like not wet, but look like it's like a weave practically. But yeah, that was the goal for this hairstyle. I've gotten a lot better at drawing hair. Hair takes practice too. I used to think I was great at it, but if I look back now, I wasn't too great at it. It was pretty basic hairstyles. I like how I do it now. I break it up into sections, and then I make each section do something a little different, and it gives it more personality because your hair isn't always like all uniformed. It's some of the ends are going different places and stuff like that. So my favorite style to do with hair is right there on the shoulder, where I made it swoop, come in front and then go to the back, and then come back around where the it's not a single strand, but like a collection of the hair comes back over her shoulder, her bicep area. That's like my favorite thing to do with hair nowadays. So I did that for her because it added a little more character to her. And yeah, I just loved it. It came out good.
Baby, you could keep me happy, but you've been on the road. Oh, I've never needed love so badly. I'm feeling so alone. And you know that I've been often dreaming of having you around. But my life is so complicated, I don't wanna bring you down. I just wanna be free from the freak and feel love for the first time. I just wanna love something about me, see something to open my eyes. Don't wanna be the only one with a house key, have something I'm proud of. I wish we were living in my dreams, cause in another world you come with me and we'd be out of sight, out of mind. Drive your windows down with your head in mine. Out of sight, out of mind. When I'm dreaming of you here for me. Out of sight, out of mind. Drive your windows down, we could take our time. Out of sight, out of mind. When I dream I'm never lonely. Out of sight, out of mind. Drive your windows down with your head in mine. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Driving windows down, we could take our time. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Out of mind.
That little bang in front of her left eye, looking more exaggerated, looking a little more I don't know, I didn't like how I did it the first time, so I tried to make it look a little more nicer and neater, make it look a little more uniform with the rest of the hair kind of. But yeah, that was what I was working on and trying to fix, and then eventually I got it.
You're the only love that I've ever known, but we turn into a flower that never grows. I was hiding like the moon, like that never shows. I should've told you that I loved you. One more time, one more time, one more time. I should've told you that I loved you. One more time, one more time, one more time. I should've told you that I loved you every night. Oh, that's on my mind. I should've told you that I loved you.
The face was feeling a little with a little too much lean to the left, and her face is kind of centered, the way it's facing. So I tried to move her facial expressions, her eyes, her nose, and mouth, a little bit more to the center. Next is the clothing layer. I do it, whole new layer for this layer. If I didn't color my outline lines, I probably wouldn't need this many layers just for sketching, but I do, and yeah, so that's why mine is just a little bit too. A lot of people don't use this many. Some people don't use this many layers, and some people use a lot of layers. Some people just use one layer. It just depends on like how you do your art style and stuff like that. But for me, I use a lot of layers, and I always run into trouble with Procreate because I end up maxing out all my layers, and I draw on big canvases, like 4,000 by 5,000 canvases. So that's why I always end up maxing out I only have to do like 22 layers or something like that, which is crazy, but I just eventually collapse and merge all my layers, my sketch layers. So yeah, but I go in, I try to give her like this cheerleading kind of top. I got inspired by a tank top on Pinterest, and then I just drew like a cheerleading outfit basically, and I put a number on her. I don't know if cheerleading outfits have numbers on them, but it's cheerleading inspired. So yeah, I did a number 51 on it, and yeah, and then I gave her a little like a little tie knot in the center of her, at the bottom of her shirt, to show that it was tied and stuff like that. I'm not really good at drawing knots, so I just did like a couple scrunchy circles, and yeah, I think it gives off the effect that it's being tied. Although I should have, that's why it doesn't look like it, because I didn't draw like tension lines coming from it to show that there's is being pulled in that direction. I forgot to draw that. But yeah, I draw the skirt. I love drawing pleated skirts, so they just show a lot of movement, and they make the character look like they're having a lot more fun, and look like they're actually in movement and stuff like that. So I like drawing them. Like drawing my characters recently in these kind of skirts. I did Jade when I did my Bratz video, kind of in a similar skirt. But yeah, these are really easy to do. You just draw them in sections and just try to draw wavy, make them different each time you go. So one might be over and then one might be under, or make it very of a wavy look to it, to look like there's wind blowing through the skirt and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I go back and I erase the body lines from the final sketch that I did from underneath the skirt, and then in case there are any under the shirt area, so I do that too. Yeah.
How come the sky at night makes me this way? Why you so far away? Galaxy cast away, watching you hopelessly. Why aren't you home with me? 'Cause space makes me sad.
Now I go in and add a little bit more detail to the skirt, trying to show that there's waves in the shirt. It helps me reinform that there's wave in the skirt and stuff like that. And I go over and I do another line. I thought one would be good, but then I just try to do another one just to reinforce it as a cheerleading outfit. And yeah, cheerleading uniform. Yeah, that's what it is. I just tried to use my favorite tool now. I learned this tool from Sam Does Art here on YouTube and on Instagram, but I was watching his YouTube video. or uses the liquefy tool. He uses Photoshop and fixes any mistakes or any weird out of place things or things that he wants to move into place. And yeah, I did that for her waist to make them make it look like it separates, because you have the rib cage is more structured on top, and then in the middle you don't really have any bone there except for the spine in the back. So I tried to make it look like it was bending in, because the rib cage ends right where the end of her top ends. So yeah, I just do a couple more cleanups and readjustments and stuff like that to her posing right before I'm about to start going in with base colors and coloring her in.
Beautiful morning, don't throw it away. If I gave you the sunset, you wish for the rain. Do you even notice what I'm trying to say? If I gave you the ocean, you'd complain about the waves. It's a beautiful morning, don't throw it away. If I gave you the sunset, you wish for the rain. Do you even notice what I'm trying to say? If I gave you the ocean, you'd complain about the waves.
To make her a more olive tone, lighter skin, almost similar to the girl in the photo, in the reference photo. And yeah, so I think she's a little darker. And this is one tone I have to work on a little bit more, because I usually work with a lot of warmer tones, more orangey, redder tones, and I love using like a first shadow coat with like a red, and then especially for darker skin tones, and then going in with a purpley kind of dark shadow to reinforce there's something overlapping in that area or something like that, or something's touching another area. So but it doesn't always come out really nicely on olive skin tones as it does on warmer skin tones. So I have to probably figure out a way to do that one a little bit more nicely. But yeah, I wanted to make her hair dark brown, but so I did that. I usually start off with a lighter color than what I want to work with, or I think her hair was black. I made her hair dark black, but I start off with like a darker gray, and then when I go over and shadow, and you guys will see why I do that. I usually just to do it to so I could make a undercoat of the hair, and then shadow in with a darker color, what her true hair color would be. And then that's been helping me a lot with drawing hair and stuff like that, so it makes it look a little bit more realistic and things like that. Coloring in here gets very tedious, especially when you add all these little strands of or locks of hair in different areas, but it's worth it because it comes out really nicely.
So baby, see me through. Now honey, what's the move, babe? Isn't me all you do? Stay with me.
I then color in the eye, the back of the white part of the eye, and then the pupil. I plan on making her eyes like a hazel color, so I go in with like a light brown. Next, I start working on the outfit color for the top, and then I did a black base for the top, and then for the little accent pieces, like where the collar is, and then the shoulder area, and then the number 51, I go in with a darker green. But I first color everything, I think, with the base color, and I go in with the skirt. The skirt doesn't stay black. I change it to green eventually, because it was a little too matchy for me. So yeah, because the two colors I use here is green and black for her outfit.
You don't need no filters. You my rocket, you my perfect picture. Baby, you know I'm tryna kick it with ya. Ain't gotta wait till it gets dark. We get 106 and Park. You be my rock, I be your big tigger. I'm tryna show you off.
I usually change the background color because it helps me see if there's anything that I missed coloring, or if I have something left to do. It helps offset that white color, because sometimes that's why my Procreate has like two settings. You can have it as a white or a black, dark black, and I usually use black because it helps colors pop at me a little bit more rather than white. It kind of makes everything, I don't know, it makes it harder for me to read colors, and I don't have good eyesight at all, so whatever can help me see color better is what I strive to use. So that's why I use the dark setting on Procreate, but you could change it to white. I think I experimented with the white setting on here. I posted a video with me using it, but I can't remember what video if I did. I think so. I go in, I auto lock all of my layers and all of my sketching layers, and then I go in and I color what a darker tone of that color that I'm trying to outline. So like the skin, I usually, especially if it's darker skin tones, I usually go in with a purplish red, and then I make it like dark enough, not too dark, and I outline the skin color, or I color the outline of the skin color in that. And then if I do the outline of the shirt is like a gray, but I know I want it to be black, I would use a black outline for the outside of for the coloring the outline. For the skirt's green, I use like a dark green. I use a greenish bluish just to make it offset the color a little bit. I've been trying to use a little bit more ranges of different colors when I do shadowing and stuff like that, and not try to be so basic. And use if you use a green, just use a darker green. I try to mix it with other colors, or if I know I want a darker color, I'm going to mix it with like a purplish, more deeper, cooler tone and stuff like that. So yeah. The brush I use for shadows and highlights is the Gouache Brush under painting. I did make my own gouache brush for making hair, but that you guys will see what that looks like when I get to that when I get to shadowing in the hair. But for the skin, I use the regular gouache brush. I told you guys I use like a reddish tone first, usually as like a mid-tone. That's the word for it, mid-tone color. Just to be a bridge into when I use a purple color for the skin tone, especially in darker skin tones. I do need to practice. There was a time when I was better at drawing fairer skin tones, and then I was awful at drawing darker skin tones. Now I'm better at drawing darker skin tones because I've been practicing that more, because I haven't been very good at drawing. I never really used to draw darker skin tone people, even though I am a darker skin tone person. I just thought it was hard, so I never did it. But now I've been drawing a lot more, so I had practice with the skin tone. Now I have to practice drawing lighter skin tones again, because for their shadow, when I do their skin, I usually give them like a yellow, depending on if I want them to be a more yellower skin tone, or a redder skin tone, and then undertone. Yeah. And then when I usually go over in for the mid-tone, I use the red too, especially if they already had a red on the top of their skin. And then when I go in for a deeper shadow, I usually use, I don't know, like a pinky reddish tone. But then when I do blush, as like another pink tone. So it's just a lot of reddish tones on top of red tones, and I don't know if that's what I should be doing. So I need to do a little bit more research on how to do fair skin tones. Maybe mix like a cooler tone in there or something, like a blue or a green. But I don't know. I need to practice those skin tones a little bit more, because I haven't been really satisfied with how I've been doing them. So yeah, that's probably gonna be a future video on how to draw fair skin tones, or how just me practicing or sketching it, a sketch with me or something like that. But yeah, here I go with the darker skin tone. I only usually put this on the face. I try not to put it on the face a little bit too much. I only do it in places like underneath the nose, just lightly, and then in the where the hair is, the hairline is usually darker. It should be it should be darker than the forehead, like the middle of the forehead, because the light, especially if the light source is coming in a more horizontal direction, not vertically right on top of the character. I try to do it where the top of the head is darker. So I use the purpley tone on top of there, and then inside the ear I use the mid-tone for the whole inner ear, and then for that the most inner part of the ear, I use the purple tone. Although it was a little dark here, but I should probably use the lighter hand. But yeah, that's what I usually do. And then places where like the hair overlaps the skin, I would use the purple tone and stuff like that. Or right underneath the shirt, right underneath the shirt where the shirt touches the skin, I'll use the purple color, yeah. And then, just to show that there's something overlapping that area, and right under where the skirt touches the bottom of the stomach too, things like that. Or if something's the farthest away from the light source, like on the side, her left side of her stomach, I use the purple too, just a little bit, and underneath the skirt and stuff like that, if you guys get the idea. But yeah, just in the parts where the light source is not really going to be shown, or is not really gonna reach.
Never roll back, I won't go back. Don't wanna waste time with you. Wanted you so bad, didn't hold back, and now I can't forget you. You've got me climbing mountains in my head. Tell me all the little things you never said. And it's clear to see your love for me is dead. And I want you to know I'ma let you go. What you said to me before, now I know that you know limits of you. Sort of feels like we lost what we knew, and I don't wanna last in these moments with you. Like, I'm just a past life for you. I'm just, I'm just a past life for you. Not willing to play the fool, need you to cut me loose, yeah. All of the time I spent, wasted it all for you, yeah. You never had the commitment, lied to my face when you said you were different. I know who you really are, you sold me a dream and you tore it apart. Climbing mountains in my head. Tell me things you never said. Don't want this love, I've had enough, I gave you up. I'ma let you go. What you said to me before, now I know that you know limits of you. Sort of feels like we lost what we knew, and I don't wanna last in these moments with you. Like, I'm just a past life for you. Now I'm just, I'm just a past life for you. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, I'm just a past life for you. The one you let me stay, don't let me get away. I'm just a past life for you. No matter what you do.
Next, I go in and I shadow the shirt in with a black, a more darker gray. I don't use it exactly a whole black. What I should have did was use a purple because I've been trying to not use black too much. And I should have used like a dark purple to do the shirt, but I wasn't thinking that at the time. And then I go in and I draw the skirt shadows with a darker green. And this one too, I should have used like how I did for the outline, a more blue or green. But yeah, it's fine, I guess. Yeah, I go and I shadow in where the light would not touch the inside of the folds of the pleated skirt. So that was, and then the highlight, the most pointed areas of the skirt or where the light source will be hitting, I don't shadow. But yeah, I go in and shadow a little bit more underneath her boob area, and now for one of the most tedious shading parts I do is the hair, because I do like 2 sets of shadowings. Other than the skin, I do not 2 different colors but 2 sets of shadowing. So I go in with a base shadowing of something like just using a gouache brush to mark where areas are going to be darker, like the part of her parting of the hair, and then places that her head covers and blocks the light, and the shadow would fall on the hair. I do that, or where the hair is not facing the light, or where it curves in because it's wavy. It's supposed to be a little bit more wavier in texture. I make that part a little darker, and I just draw. I just practically block out where shadows should be, basically. You have to have a good that's another thing to have, is a good knowledge of how light hits certain objects and things like that. I know I like to make all my stuff shiny, but I have a good knowledge, especially after college, or at least after SCAD, on where light and how light should hit certain objects and stuff like that. So then I go in and I do a shadowing like this, where it's more detailed, and I use the smudge brush. That's why I use the Gouache Brush one that I made, where it's a little more pointed at the ends, so I can taper off and make it look like it's hair strands when I smudge the darker areas of the block 10 areas shadows that I made earlier. So yeah, that's what I do with those areas. I smudged them out to make them look like hair. I always get a lot of compliments on my hair because everybody says it looks so real, it looks so cool, it's like a semi-realistic. Yeah, that's what I've been working on for a while. I used to be, like I told you guys, I was not good at drawing hair before. I used to think I was good at drawing hair, but especially when I got into digital art, I didn't know how to put my style of drawing hair and make it look good and not so flat. Like it didn't look as flat when I used to just do my marker drawings and my color pencil drawings and renderings and stuff, but digital art definitely made my hair look flat. So this is how I ended up coming up with my own style. I didn't really look at anybody else's, because I tried to, but it wasn't something that I liked, and it didn't work with my art style. So I made my own. I try to do smudge. I just use smudge brush. That was my favorite brush, and that was my favorite thing to do was smudging. So although some artists, beginner artists, do use that a lot, which I made the mistake of a lot of times, using the smudge brush a little bit too much. But if you use something with more texture and stuff like that, and use it sparingly and smart, you can get good, cool textures out of your art. Like I use the gouache brush for more texture in my skin tones and stuff like that, and in my painting, in my drawing in general. But I usually go in just to make it blend into the base color a little bit more with a smudge brush. But I also use a gouache smudge brush too, but to reiterate the texture but not smooth it out too much. So yeah, that's how I do it. Because I don't use like a flat round brush to smudge anymore. That I haven't used something like that since my SCAD days, and when I used to work on the Photoshop program on the Wakems in the labs. I haven't done that since then, but now I know a little bit better not to use those kind of brushes. I mean, you can if that's your style. My style is a little more semi-realistic, so I try to make it look a little bit more realistic and not too cartoony and graphic. Although I do like the graphic look. I try to incorporate different styles into my look. You just have to, when you guys are coming up with your own styles or trying to work towards something that you want to make your own, figure out if you want your style to be more cartoony, more anime-like, more realistic, more semi-realistic, in between two different drawings. I like the sparkly look on my art. I like a more graphic kind of look sometimes. I could do both. That's another thing. It's also good to have different arrays of styles you could do with your art. I can do realism. I don't like doing realism. I can do semi-realistic. I could do cartoony styles. I could do graphic styles. I could do flat layers. But it all depends on what you like and what you prefer doing and what makes you happy doing. So I get happiness out of drawing it like in a semi-realistic style. I can make out what my character is supposed to be, but I could also have fun with drawing her hair or giving her purple skin tones and undertones and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the fun of art. You can just make it how you want to. Add whatever you want into your own drawings and art. And so yeah, but yeah, I do a blush layer on my characters usually, because to add a little bit more redder tones, because everybody has like a red tone in their, well, most people, you have blood underneath your skin, so you should have a little bit of a red tone underneath. And I think that I found that makes my characters look a little bit more lively and not so dead, especially when I was doing the Inktober drawings, and I learned that from like trying to draw a zombie. I wouldn't really use a red blush. I would use like a purple blush to make it look more dead and cold, and then cooler tones make things look a little bit more cold and dead and stuff like that, and then warmer tones make everything look more warm and comfy and just like fall vibes. That's why fall is so nice, because of the fall colors and the fall warm palette that it has. So yeah, that's what I try to do with skin tone. Then I make another layer and I do a highlight for just the skin. I usually, especially if they're darker skin tones, I usually use a golden color to show that the light source is like a gold, like sun kissed kind of look. And then if I'm doing a more fair skin tone, I still struggle on those, because especially if they're like really fair, if I draw them really fair, it's kind of hard to make them have even more like a highlight. So I usually have to give them like a white highlight or something like that, which I don't like to do. I wish I could do like a more yellowish skin tone highlight. So I'm gonna have to start making my fair skin tones not too fair and not too close to the white tone. So yeah, but yeah, here's me going in with doing the lips. I usually do for her I did a darker color outline around the outline of the lips, and then I go in with a mid-tone for the lips for shadowing, and I usually don't go in with anything darker, but I do a little base, a light highlight. I usually use like a lighter pink or a lighter red, if depending on the lip color, a lighter purple, and then I do a little light highlight. And then when I do my highlights at the end, I do a hard highlight with like a base brush, or just pressing harder with my gouache brush, trying to imitate gloss. I usually do a lot of glossier lips and mouth looks, so yeah.
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. You see her walking down the boulevard. She got the posture of a superstar. She looks so fly in those Gucci slides. Yeah, yeah, I wonder what she hides under her disguise. Yeah, 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 yeah. And all the girls around the world, they wanna be her. And all the dudes are trying to score like it's fever. She lives a double life, puts on a show. What's under the subtle smile, we'll never know. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. There must be something about her features. You'll find her beauty goes much deeper once you get to meet her. She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her.
For my finishing touch layer, I usually do like extra highlights, because I told you guys I like very sparkly art style kind of thing. So I give them a sharper, brighter. I do use a more whitish yellow or whitish green, or I use whatever the color of the background is, or whatever color I want the light source to be based off of, like a lightish purple or a lightish blue, and I use that as the highlight, the hard highlight for the ending final touches. And yeah, I just always do that line and the dot on the forehead where the light source is gonna hit. I do little lines on her cheek, a nose bridge highlight, and a highlight circle right here on the nose, on the bottom part, the little nostril part, nostrils. And then I did give her a cupid's highlight on her cupid's bow, and over her lip where the light source is hitting on that right side, and then at the bottom of the chin. I've been working on trying to do chin highlights. I always mess up. They always look a little too hard, or they look weird or something. So I liked how I did this one, where it's more centered on the bottom of the face instead of like right there in the middle of the chin. I usually go in on tops and I do like a line and a dot, and on a skirt band, especially if it's wrapping around a certain area. I try to make the highlight go along with that roundness, like where that band of the skirt is. I did a line and a dot on there. And then for hair, this is where I start. I recently started doing this, where it just looks, it makes her hair look shiny and like she just came out of the water. I do I don't know if you guys saw, where I do like these like little with a gouache brush, little sections of areas that colored in with the highlight color, and then I go back and I use my gouache brush, and that gouache one tapered brush I made, I use that and I spread it out, the color that I just put down, and make it look like hair, like almost like how I do when I do the shadows, but I do a smaller section of them, and I do it on the higher parts of the hair and the hair that's facing the light source. So yeah, I've been liking that a lot. Then I was just doing the most, and I added more highlights to the areas that are facing the hard highlights, instead of areas that are facing the light source again on the hair, like on the tips and stuff like that. And then yeah, But yeah, this drawing was quick. I don't think it took me too long to do. Let me see. I think it only took, usually my drawings take about 4 hours to do. This one probably took about 3, or probably about the same amount of time. If you guys ever want to look at your time on, if you guys have Procreate and you want to look at your time, go to the settings area in the canvas that you were working on. Go to canvas in the actions area, and then go to canvas information all the way at the bottom underneath the flip canvas horizontal and flip canvas vertical area, and then go to statistics, and it should tell you your track time is mine is 2 hours and 39 minutes. It tells you your file size and how many strokes you made. I made 4,917 on this drawing, and it only took me 2 hours and 39 minutes to finish this. I think my drawing time is getting a little faster, but which is good. I don't like to spend too much time on drawing because I'm an Aries and I'm impatient, so the shorter time the better, and especially if it turns out good, that makes me happy. This one was a pretty solid drawing. I even gave it a little background at the end, which was cool too. I was happy about that. But yeah, and then I usually, I have my which is good for artists to keep, is a folder in Procreate of things I use often. So like my sparkles that I add onto my thing, I made them once and I just copy and paste them into my drawings, so I don't have to keep making them again, because they are a process to make. So I just have them already pre-made, and I just copy and paste them into my drawings at the end when I'm ready to use them. Same with my little watermark of my signature shell draws. I have that already made in that folder too, and I copy and paste that right into here, and I usually color it based on like an accent color from the background, based on a darker color of the background, or an accent color of the piece. Like in this one, it was green from her skirt and her outfit, so I used green as the accent color for my my signature, my little watermark. So yeah, that's basically it. I go in at the end and add a little geometric, like 80s look background to her. Offsetting, I make like a rounded square, or it's like almost like a rounded square. And then I go in and I try to outline it, but make, you offset the outline and and then offset the outline of like a square, like how that one is already made. I offset it a little bit to make it look a little bit more, purposely done, like the 80s look. So yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helped you guys understand like my process a little bit on how I draw digitally, and hopefully you guys learned a little bit of stuff from Procreate from here. Yeah, I used to use a lot of different I don't know if that part where you see on top where the settings is, where the little hammer, what's a screwdriver, whatever that thing is next to it, they have like special things in there, like where the liquify was, Gaussian blur and stuff like that, and noise. I used to add noise to my drawings to make them look like they were like the 80s and old, made them look like they were a little more aged. Sometimes I do that for fun. Sometimes you could add on whatever little effects you want to add on to your drawings. But yeah, I'll probably do a whole separate video on those and how I use them in my art, and probably try to use all of them in my art one day to show you guys what they do. But yeah, but for now, that's it for this video, and thank you guys for watching, and I will have more for you guys next week. Next Tuesday is the last video of the Brat series that I'm doing. So I just did Sasha earlier this week, and Chloe is going to be next week, and I'm sad this series is ending because I actually really like drawing the Brats. But yeah, it has to come to an end, and I will be starting a new series eventually after. I just have to figure out what I want to draw from after this. I was thinking maybe like the Disney princesses, but I don't know. So, but stay tuned, and you guys will see what I come up with. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and bye. See you guys Tuesday.
Numbers, that just ain't the way I wanna love ya. Baby, let the colors bleed. We don't need to keep it clean. Let's mix it up together for each other. Loving watercolor. Drip, drip from the canvas frame. Take a second to appreciate the beautiful mess we make. I don't wanna paint by numbers. That just ain't the way I wanna love ya. Baby, let the colors bleed. We don't need to keep it clean. Let's mix it up together for each other. Loving watercolor. I got something smooth in my cup, yeah. I drops when they go take a puff, yeah. I don't think you bout to call my bluff.